I'm super pumped to have this week's weekly tribe training with Deal Machine founder David Lecko. I've known, and Dave, welcome first of all to our weekly tribe training. Thanks for taking the time to join us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
So, David, I've been a fan of your app for about a year or so, right? Where you realize I'm kind of old school. I started doing this back in 2002 and 2003. And I had these guys that would go out with a packet of paper, right? And I would tell them to go drive for dollars. And I'd say, hey, if it looks vacant, run down, abandoned, nasty house, weeds growing up, the whole deal, write down the address, take a picture of it. And then I would say, hey, I need you to call the title company, find out what's owed on it. And then if I think there's a spread there, let's go through the whole deal and then we'll track them down and this and that and the other. The tool that you've created, man, it's super powerful. Like it really, really is. And I want to expose it to the tribe.
Thank you so much. Well, I really got started because I made it because I was trying to scratch my own itch. And back in 2016, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I wanted to buy rental properties instead of stocks. So I had more control over my income from those investments.
Right.
And I heard about driving for dollars and I just kept forgetting to actually follow up. I had added about 40 properties over 2 weeks and I did all the fun part, which was driving around. But then I just didn't send out my mailers because you either had to write them by hand, which takes a lot of time, or you had to wait until you had like 200 properties to send like mail through a service,
Right. You have like enough mass to be able to do it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I was working as a software developer at the time. So that weekend I kind of stayed home, built a really, really simplistic tool that included a map. It included a printer and I could pin that, get the county address and have it printed and mail it. So that's what that kind of like is how I started with Deal Machine. It wasn't meant to be like a commercial product or anything.
What I'd like to do is, if you're able to, I'd like to do like a little screen share and then have you just like walk us through this like on a high level and then kind of go, hey, those who are succeeding at a high level using the app, using the tool, what is it that they're actually doing?
The first thing I wanted to start with was just like, why is driving for dollars a worthwhile thing? Right when you're first starting out, you've got a, driving for dollars is cheap, typically is how it's thought, because you're kind of utilizing your time instead of your financial resources. You're utilizing your time to find a list of distressed properties, which takes some time, but you can't buy it. You can't really buy that list. It's not available online. You can buy pretty much every other list. And that's why driving for dollars is actually so worth the time, because it's kind of like a hoop not a lot of people will jump through. And if you do, you're going to get good results because there's not a ton of other investors marketing to this list because it's a bit harder to have and to create. What I wanted to do was solve the simple problem of not following through. So whenever you're relying on your own time, then the thing you've got to manage is yourself. And what I realized was I was doing the fun part, but then which was driving around and adding those properties. But then whenever I got home, I wasn't doing the hard part, which was looking up the owners and sending out the mail. And so basically I created this basic version of this app that would let me pin a house to look up the owner immediately. So it says down here, this is an owner-occupied house. It's owned by this guy named Vaibhav Patel. And so if it looked like really run down, then I could add this property to my marketing list.
Just the fact that you're talking about this is so cool. You can sit in front of a house and right there on the spot, know their name, know when they bought it, know what they owed on it. And right then you can make a decision to move forward or to move forward and pursue it or to pass,
Right. And let's see, Toby Mills. All right. He's owned it since 2006. So it's over 10 years. And if this is a rundown house, I'm definitely wanting to get in contact with this guy. So I will add this property here. So you can look at that owner information and stuff before you add the property. And so this is the standard original postcard that Deal Machine offered. So it's the Deal Machine Classic design. And it's very basic. It says, is this your property? I'm interested in purchasing it. I can close quickly and with cash. If you're interested, call or text me. Have a great day. Basically, all you do when you're in front of this property is you'd click Start Mailers, and then that piece of mail is going to be sent off. What's important here is it's going to go to the owner. So if it's an owner-occupied house, it's going to that front door. But if it's owned by somebody out of state, it's going to go to that owner rather than that property, because that's the person you want to talk to, is the owner. You might see a couple things on this map that are highlights. And so the highlights are actually showing me right now which ones are absentee owned. So at a glance, I can just tell that if your strategy is to only tackle the absentee owned properties, this is going to show you which ones to look at. So this is just to help you speed up your process while you're out there driving, so you can add more properties, better utilize your time.
So cool. So you can kind of go in, you can set some of that criteria so that your driving is a little bit more focused.
Right.
That up. You can look at, when they've owned it. You can add that photo. You can drop a piece of mail right there using one of the templates that's already there. You can go ahead and do the advanced search, get additional info like phone numbers and stuff right there on the spot.
A lot of people will say, like, man, where should I go driving for dollars? And I've got two main answers for them. And the first one is the easiest. You just need to go to a real estate meetup and ask where people are buying properties. The other tip I have is actually a free hack, is you can go to listsource.com and you can find out which zip codes had the most cash transactions. Well, here's another thing that you might is actual guide to help you planning your budget. This is a resource. I dropped the link in the chat. It's dealmachine.com/offers/budget. So this is a budget planning tool to help you set KPIs and make sure you can do the marketing long enough to get your results.
I think most people are just not seeing the amount of homes that they need to see. They're just not turning over enough rocks. What's your feedback on that?
Completely agree. And I make no income claims, first of all, just because I can't. And second of all, there's just a lot of factors, like, are you able to close the deal and all that. But what we see from a lot of the testimonials that we get is most people quit way too soon. They might add 20 properties and then they quit, in their 14-day trial because they didn't get a deal. And so I wanted to use these numbers to give you a realistic expectation so you can set appropriate goals. And the number I always say for getting your first deal is you need to add 200 properties and send mail to each one of them 3 times each over the course of 3 months.
I think, again, the key is just keep driving and keep loading them in and keep casting that net, right? It's one of our tribe members always say it's numbers. That's it. Like, it's just numbers. Keep casting the net, keep putting it out there.
Learn more about Deal Machine or other Smarter Real Estate Tribe lessons by joining the smarterrealestatetribe.com.